And as all of us get along, this is number 55 of Pink Cloud Radio. And really, it's about the abundance of things. And also the destruction elements and all this stuff that it's just so hard to decipher what's going to happen next. But it's good. Because the one thing that I want to bring up that is probably the most important part of the first Matrix movie, which I'm just bringing this up, I know I may be giving away a lot of parts, but he says at the end of the first Matrix movie, Neo, that I'm not here to tell you how this is going to end, I'm telling you how this is going to begin. And I think that's an important part that most people don't really take from the first Matrix movie. Because standing alone, that movie actually stands up against even the natural story of good and bad. It stands up against it. And it shows right at the end there that it's not about the future. It's about what's happening now, at the beginning. And I think in some realization that's true, as long as you're not seeing as long as you're paying attention to what other people are trying to do with that future. Trying to do with the future. Which is what's happening with Agent Smith and what's happening with all this stuff. And in itself, there are a lot of very charismatic views that are against everything. And in itself, you can look at the Matrix trilogy as a completely opposite effect too, which is that the people in power gain control by the end of it. But also it shows that ideas can't form without other ideas there. You know, you can't have an idea flourish if other ideas are deemed bad. You know, that's a bad idea. No, it's not. It's only a bad idea in form of the idea that most people socially and in the civilization have accepted. You know, that's why when I say, if you're afraid of love, you're afraid of death. I'm not afraid of love, therefore I'm not afraid of death. And that's an important part right there, is that when you're accepting the amount of tension that comes in a relationship, whether it's a relationship between yourself and another person, or yourself and the world, or yourself and other individual groups around the world, whatever you want to say, if you're afraid of the love that could be understood between both of you, you're going to be afraid of death your entire life. Death from the other people, death from yourself, anything. And this is one of the main reasons I think suicide is really high and rampant at times, where it is a huge concern, is that people are afraid of love. They're afraid of that love, but they're also afraid of the fact that if they don't get something in a certain way, in a certain passage of time, it's harder to accept what's happening. It's harder to accept where you're going in life, because right there you haven't accepted the reality that your love may not be the same love that's given back. But it's not a matter of that. It's not a matter of what you get back. It's a matter of how you always are, because that's going to get you to the right place. It's not about changing for everything. You know, that's when you change for everything, you're always going to be afraid. That shows you're afraid. If you have to change for every single thing, as with our world, how it is right now, with, you know, the democracy supposedly and everything else, if you have to change for everything, there's not much chance of you ever not being fearful or hopeful. You're always going to have those qualities, and it's fine to have some hope in general when you're talking about, like, hey, I hope you enjoy that, blah, 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 whatever. But that's a general hope. That isn't like, I'm going to tear down the fortress if this doesn't work out. As we've seen with, going back to the brazen bull. It was created by the same person. It was a form of execution that was used on the person who created it. Because though it was a gift for the person that did it to him. He made the brazen bull for the other person. I can't remember the names right now. Perlos? I can't pronounce the name correct probably. But he was putting it first. And lit on fire and, cooked to death pretty much. And right there, we're showing the identity of what we do with certain ideas, certain ideals, the kind of immense control that people can have, even if you are helping them. Even if you bring something to them, as you could say a sacrifice, you could say a gift, right there, that doesn't prove anything. The brazen bull story is a huge comment on that, saying that it doesn't matter what you do, you could still be killed by the same person you're giving a gift to. If they have enough power, they could do anything they want, tell you what to do, or push you in there themselves. And I think that's what I mean by, if you're afraid of love, you're afraid of death. And I think, the death itself is, it's not an option, It's just the same thing with love. There's no option in love. Either you love or you don't. You can't, say that there's something there, but I don't know what to say exactly. But that's the whole thing. If you don't know what to say, it's not always about saying anything. Like some people would say that love has to always be expressed, meaning that if you don't express love, it's not love. Well, that's not true. Everybody has an individual taste or individual thought, or they have a different idea of what love can identify for them and for others. That's not always about being there for it or dating someone or anything like that, because that in itself, it's like what I said recently at work to one of my managers, that I don't think I can date. I have dated. I don't think that's enough. And I think that's a fair thing. I mean, if I can easily admit that, there's no competition for me. I was trying to make a joke about it earlier this morning too. I was thinking about it, that's the problem. There's no competition for me, because a lot of people like having somebody else to look at too. So they'll say well, I'll let Marcello be the one right now, but I'll also have somebody else that's comparable to him. So that just in case it doesn't work out, there's no just in case with me. Either you're there or you're not. There is no just in case that I'm going to change or any bullshit like that. If you're unhappy with that, you got to go, You got to know that, That's what I mean by, if you're afraid of love, you're afraid of death. You are, I'm not afraid of love, therefore I'm not afraid of death, and that's hard. It's hard for me to find that competition to go, damn, there's somebody else who thinks that way? Nope, there's nobody else who thinks that way. Most people think in the terms of the statutory rationalization, or they think in so imaginative a way that they forget reality itself. I'm in the middle of that, smashed between all of them, and just watching them constantly, and going, what the fuck, Because is there an identity in any of that? Even in mine. I think I'm the worst at it, because, it makes it easy for me to just say, well, I'm the biggest asshole in the world because I'm making you insecure, because I'm secure. There's no other beginning or end to that, and that's good. The beginning is just going to be what happens. The end, who knows? But you can't be disappointed by an end if you decided to start at the beginning. If you decide to start something at the beginning, you gotta deal with that part too. But if you don't decide to start something from the beginning, if you just decide, well, I'm going to be self-depreciating, I'm going to put myself down, I'm going to put myself under the earth, I'm going to build a pedestal of this person or that person, I'm going to give this person so much admiration, there's nothing that's going to be built on top of that that's going to make your life better. That's why, to me, admiration, one of the worst. Don't have admiration for me, a little bit's fine. Overdo it, you're done. You're screwed. You're screwing yourself, really. You're not screwing me. What do I got to lose by your admiration? You. So actually I lose the most. I lose the most because I lose you. Because I lose you because your admiration for me, it makes me lose you. You can't be afraid of that love. No matter how much you're in a deep situation with someone else or something like that. I think a lot of people decide to get into relationships based on the fact that they don't think they're going to find somebody good. And when they do, they feel horrible because, oh shit, what do I do here? I can't do anything because I'm already in something. Well, then if you couldn't wait for that right person when you said already that you didn't think you'd find them, I mean, right there and then, you made that choice. No one else did. You have to understand why you made that choice. And once you do that, then maybe you could take a place to bring it up in the relationship or bring it up in a certain kind of situation, whether it's a friendship or something else like that you've developed. You have to say it, No one else can say it for you. The person that's with you is not, can't say it for you because maybe they actually think you fell in love with him. You didn't just, well, I picked him because there was no one else there that I truly had feelings for. Until this happened with this person right here. Well, then you kind of have to say that. And I think that's another thing, if you're afraid of that love, death is going to be following you every single day. That's why to me, I'm not afraid of death. If death visited me, I'd say, hello, what do you want me to say? Truly, there's nothing to say to death. It's something that's going to happen, and it's nothing bad, nothing good. It's whatever. It's what it's going to be, and it is what it is until it isn't. You know? And it isn't happening now, so obviously, why would I have to worry about death? It isn't now. It isn't here. You know, in that effect, it's here all the time, but it's not here. It's only here when it's here, when it's actually here, when it's manifested itself, when it has happened. You know, and I think in a lot of ways that's what death really represents. Death represents something that's non-existent until it exists. But it can exist. You die when death comes, so there's no way that death can exist. And I think that's what I mean by, you know, if you're afraid of love, you know, right there, you're done. You know, that's why so many people say, well, at least I'm used to this. You know, if they're used to having a family and listening to what other people say to them, they're used to that. So they're used to being afraid of death. They're used to just being fearful and hopeful. They're just used to it. They're used to it. Well, that's a great life. Only doing things you're used to. Wonderful. You know, I do things I'm not used to, but I also do things I'm used to too. You know, I got habits too. But I think in a lot of ways it doesn't really matter. It's not a matter of doing things that are habits. Like a lot of people say like habits are bad, or doing something over and over again, repeatedly, routines. There's happiness in routines too, but it matters if you have happiness at all. If you don't have happiness with what you're doing, if you're just doing it because, well, it's easier, then you only did things for the easy way out, well, that's good. It sounds like you have a wonderful life. You know? What are your grades like? Maybe their grades are good, because they took the easy way out, paid for it, sexed it, you know? They could have done anything for their grades, you never know. And I think that's the thing about a lot of what has occurred in the world, that we don't know what's going to happen in this. And that's why you can't be afraid of love. If you're afraid of love, then it doesn't matter if the right person shows up. You'll never think of the right person. You're already afraid of love. They're not the right person for you, obviously. They're not afraid of love, but you are. Oh, that sounds like a wonderful relationship right there. And I think, you know, and I think that goes back to what death is really. Because death is just, it's a symbol, really. It's just a word with a symbol attached to it. That's never been defined, never been quartered, never been inevitably given to us to some extent. You know, it's just been told to us. This is what happens. Hey, it could be anything. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be any of those things. It could be something else that we've never even thought of. And I think, you know, with my own self, I'm not looking for the one. I just don't want to be treated like no one. I'm just looking to not be treated like no one. I'm just looking to not be treated like no one. Meaning that if I'm not looking for that one person where it's like, oh, this person's special, I'll put him on a pedestal. No, I admiration here high. No. I just don't want to be treated like no one. I don't want to be someone's punching bag. That doesn't sound like a relationship to me. I mean, it is relationships. I've seen it a lot. But I'm not looking for that. And I think if I'm alone my entire life, that'll be fine too. Whatever happens, occurs. I'm not even wishing this on myself. I wish that I do find somebody who wants to be with me and doesn't want to treat me like a punching bag just as much I wouldn't treat her as a punching bag. Now, it doesn't mean nobody else in our lives will. Because that's impossible. You tell me one time where you weren't treated like a punching bag. All of you. Answer that question. Whether you post it here on YouTube and on my pink cloud right now. If you were treated like a punching bag at one time in your life, you could understand the difference. Or maybe you can't. If you can't understand the difference, then I can't really tell you what to do in that then. You know, but I'm not looking to be somebody's punching bag. Yes, I understand. We have a past. We have pasts. But if you don't treat somebody like a punching bag, you're not going to get much out of a relationship. All you're going to get is a relationship. That means to you what your life meant to you before you got into a relationship. I mean, are you looking for the same thing as your life, or are you looking for something a little different? You know, that's the thing about it. Like, that's what I've noticed with a lot of people, that they try to define their life right now by what they've had. But that isn't, you know, it's not, you know, their life before doesn't necessarily reflect what they want. You know, it's just the reflection of what they've gotten before. how they've gotten treated, what kind of people were around them, whether it was family members or friends or ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, whatever you got. If you have that and you're living with that only, I can't tell you how, that's the thing about a lot of people who think about the future too much. They think about the ends. But it's your journey. Do you want this journey? That's what you have to ask yourself. It's not about the end of the journey. Do you want this journey with this person, with that person, whatever? If you don't want that journey, you have to say it. That person can't say it for you. And that's the thing about it. Like, I want to see if this person really is, able to sustain this relationship. Are you? If you're asking that kind of question, you're not able to sustain the relationship. You're just seeing, you just don't want to point the gun at yourself, so you point it at the other person. Whether the gun is actually going through your skull and killing you suicidal, it doesn't matter. You want to hold it out on somebody else that, hanging off a cliff and waiting for someone to save you. That's the identity of what most people act like. Like, it's not even children. Like, children are smarter than that. Children are smarter than that. And that's the crux of most people's reality, is that, oh, no, I'm not acting like a child. Yeah, you're acting worse than a child. At least a child wouldn't treat me like that. And to be honest, they wouldn't. They'd joke around. They'd be a little sarcastic. They wouldn't overindulge in the sarcasm. They wouldn't point it at my face. They would point it at me. They wouldn't just say you're wrong. They would just say, you know what, kid, I gotta joke around with you. But you're not doing that. You're treating me like shit. As with the punching bag. And it's pretty easy to tell everyone else's misdirection when you're the most misdirected. I give it credit. I am the most misdirected. But it's because I'm very sensitive. It's because I'm very emotional, very attached to all the people of my past and now. And you'll figure that out when I post my interview and my graduation coming up. I've been aroused by my sensations with anyone. Yes, they may think differently, but the differences I have to respect. Not the differences that I have to look at everybody else and say, oh, you got it from them. You didn't get it individually. You got it from somebody else. I don't judge it that way. Like, if I were to tell you, if I heard you saying, like, something your family said about me, and you believe it, then I'm like, well, is that what you believe, or do you believe or is that from your parents, or is that from your friend, or is that from your ex, so on and so forth. I'd ask. And if you just say, well, if you don't like it, I'd say, well, no, I'm asking do you personally believe it, or are you just repeating what somebody else has said? I'm asking a question. If you don't want to be that open with me, why do you want to talk to me right now? Why would you even text me that? Why don't you just ignore it, leave me alone, and don't even talk to me then? Because to me, that's not. I'm not placing injury on you by asking, do you believe this? I want to know the truth. Do you believe it? If you personally believe it, then why would you want to be with me? In any term, whether it's a friendship or anything else. Why would you want to know me if that's what you personally believe? If you don't think I have enough strength to handle myself here, then maybe I'm not the right person to be with. But if you think that I am strong enough, but if you're allowing that to hurt you, then I'm not strong enough to take that away. If I was, I would tell you right now, Christina, or whoever from my past, going back to Shane even, how that friendship ended. It was like a critic. It was worse than Siskel and Ebert. And it was a bad friendship that ended. And I can take the blame for all of it. I like taking the blame. I like being the bad guy because it makes me learn better for next time. And it does. Whether or not I'm right or wrong, that doesn't matter. As long as I've learned something, I don't need to hold it over anybody's head if I'm right or wrong. And that's the thing about, like, when people do that to me, I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you just tell me how you feel? You don't need to hold it over my head. Just tell me how you feel. And if they can't, then right there, they're treating me like a punching bag because they're not willing to just say, yes, you're not a person I want to be with. And I'm the most misdirected because of that. Because there's no answer to that kind of, and I'm not even blaming them for it, because I can understand maybe they're not open enough with me yet. But if that's the thing, right there and then, I don't need them to be open with me. And I think with certain friendships, we were already at the point where they were open with me, so I never understood why they couldn't open that part and just say, yeah, you know, Marcello, I don't like that. And it is what it is until it isn't. I mean, that's a fact, you know? Because a lot of people say it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is until it isn't. I mean, that's the thing about, like, saying things like that. Like, a lot of people justify doing the same thing again and again by saying it is what it is. And then I add, it is until it isn't. Which means that if you allow these things to happen, it is what it is. Hey, you could do the same thing forever and just keep on saying that. Repeated, 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 repeated. Again and again, that you could do whatever you want again and again as long as you say it is what it is. It is what it is until it isn't. You know, to me personally, that's how I personally live life, is that if I feel that somebody's going to, you know, hurt me on their own established thought, that they want to do that, whether or not they got influence from anybody else doesn't matter. You know, no matter what, no matter how much you try to say, as I said last time, follower, leader, the weaknesses you have, if you carry them to hurt others, you're not getting it from anybody else. You're doing it yourself. You know, if you get advice from somebody else to how to hurt a person, and you do it, you're doing it. They're not doing it. Oh, they made me think of it. No, you did it. No one else did it. No one else took that step to put that knife in me. You took that step, put the knife in me. What else do you need? Until it isn't. It is what it is until it isn't. And that's the truth, you know? Until you don't allow it in your life in that way. You allow things to happen in your life. And you bring the choices and purpose out of that. But you don't allow anybody in until somebody really establishes that they personally want to be there. Not to justify them fighting for you or being there to aggressively thwart off any attackers. Because that's not going to mean anything if you allow the attacker in. It's just like an abusive relationship. If the person allows the person to come back in, you can't call the police and say, oh, well, you know, I had this restraining order against him. Yeah, but you didn't even abide by it. We can't do anything. You allowed that person back into your life. You obviously don't care about the restraining order that you put on them. You allowed that relationship to continue when you demanded there'd be a restraining order, when you demanded that there be something put up against this person. You can't justify your weakness by saying that, oh, I'm just weak. You know, I'm a follower, I'm weak. It's fine to be weak, but you can't use it as a scapegoat for allowing things to happen in your life. Because a follower is still their own leader. No matter how much they try to deny that, they are. Just as much as I'm my own follower and leader at the same time. You know? And I think that's the thing about these kind of like thoughts and processes and everything that's happening, you know? That being in the middle of nowhere, you know, a broken heart far away from me, which is how I am right now. You know, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and my broken heart is just far away from me if I have one, in that effect. And that's how I've been feeling. It's hard to introduce someone into this when I know it. I think that's a reality check that I have. That being in the middle of nowhere as I am, and that's fine, you know, it's in a lot of ways it's a beautiful thing. Because I'm talking to you guys and girls and whoever, ladies, gentlemen, ants, just kidding, ants that crawl, I mean, I'm kidding, but being in the middle of nowhere, it means a lot, and it means nothing, because it's only me experiencing it. You know, if someone else experienced it and totally understood, oh, I know where you're coming from, there's an understanding there, and that's good. But if there isn't, so what? You know, I don't need everybody to live through the same dedications that I've given. You know, that's the same reason why I wouldn't want to be a priest or anything in the religious service as much. I wouldn't be a scientist or a mathematician. Because to me, those kind of things, they're gregarious contributions to control. To just take more control of people. And they are, you know. At least in the middle of nowhere, I can establish that I'm being myself. And, you know, the broken heart is far away. I hear it. I hear it sometimes. Marcello. It's the broken heart calling me. Saying, come on, Marcello. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I can't do anything. I can't do anything right now for you. And I truly can't. Because I'm in the middle of nowhere. How am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to do with a broken heart when I don't even know what to do with myself? And I think that's what's happening through the years. of all this stuff happening the way it has, where the relationships, whether in a friendship or anything, broke down. You know, there's only so many times you could take that. Yeah, of course I felt sad. Of course I cried. I cried as much as I did when I watched certain movies that I watch. You know, whether it was the last King Kong movie where I cried when they were shooting him off the Empire State Building, or whether it was all the other romantic comedies that I have at times. Vanilla Sky, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, any of those. You know, I've cried during all those. Those make me cry because there's something deeply embedded in what they're showing an example of that I'm not seeing in real life. And it's not because, those things should be happening in real life. It doesn't mean that. But it just means that there's some passionate embrace that's in there that doesn't try to disgruntle or discourage anybody. But that's all I see in real life, is disgruntling and discouraged. You know, whether you're discouraged from what you've accepted in your past, you can't do that forever. You can't be discouraged by what has happened. You're like the scourge, the empire, and the emperor or the empress that tries to put down their people because of their mistakes. You know, here we are again, that makes the empire fall. The empire falls mostly because of personal vendettas or personal bullying and revenge, or the kind of things that you hold inside that are going to burst. Just like an egg bursts if you boil it too long. Just like a volcano bursts. Some volcanoes still have volcanic activity, like Motolino Island off Italy. All these things are happening again and again, which means that you can't keep those things inside forever. If you do, you're just going to hurt everybody. If you allow that, and you say, well, everyone else is so bad to everybody. Yeah, but you're holding that in. Don't you see that that's the reason why everybody's so bad to everybody? Because they're holding everything in? I mean, it takes a second to think about it. But it makes sense by the end of it, and you're like, oh shit, I can't do that forever. I can't blame everybody else. I can't blame everyone's misanthropy and apathetic nature. They already have it. But they have it because they're holding everything in, too. And other reasons, too, because sometimes it's about control. It's about power, too. And because of that, they have, I hate humans, or I hate everything. Okay? I can't say anything to that, But, being in the middle of nowhere, it's beautiful in a lot of ways, because I can see now that the forest and the trees don't matter. You got to see the forest and the trees. No, you don't have to see, you got to see past the forest and the trees. You got to see past them. Those are the reasons why we're in the same place we've always been in society with humans. I'd rather be a caveman. I graduated and became a caveman. So, at least the caveman didn't have to worry about police. At least the caveman didn't have to worry about an authority figure. The authority figure was the family unit, or whatever unit you had. Because back then, there were already things happening that are being ratified now. Whether it's, lesbian relationships, gay relationships. You don't need a name to even establish them. They were already happening for a longo time. And I think that's what really discourages people, is that we're getting used to we're getting used to the niche to just identify everything. Identify. Whether it's our sexual orientation or whatever, do we need to identify it? Or do we need to establish that there's something else deeper than that? We don't need to get our government involved in. We don't need to get anybody involved in. If we need those kind of reassurances, those kind of cyber securities, those securities that are just amply, exumerated in our society, then what's going to matter? Do we matter by the end of it? Do we matter if we were able to marry anybody we want? By the end of it, will we matter at all? Or are we making them matter more by groveling to them and saying, please, let us have our rights? We should have them without that. That's how I've been feeling. Like I said, the heart far away. The broken heart far away. It's hard to introduce someone into this when I know it. That's the truth. That's one thing I can tell you. Being in the middle of nowhere and knowing my broken heart is flying somewhere far away, I don't know what's going to happen when it comes back to me. And it says, okay, Marcello, I'm ready. I know you're in the middle of nowhere, but it's time. Woo! I don't know what's going to happen. It may be nothing at all. It may be just like, okay, I need to concentrate, get an enabled feeling, and just develop from there. It's great. It means that I'm ready for something new, a new situation, and here I am growing. Going to develop it, learn it, and see it. This is the knowledge that I gained. from being in the middle of nowhere, which is a hard thing to do. There's not too many people that learn from those kind of psychological states of mind, you know. But it is hard to introduce someone into this when I know it. You know, it's the same thing I said to anybody who's had feelings for me, and just let it go. You know, other people just say, "Oh, why'd you do that, Marcello? Why didn't you do anything?" Because I know how I'm feeling. I'm not trying to hold that against the relationship starting, but I do know this, that it wouldn't matter much in the relationship if I'm going to just say, you know, the way I act towards a person wouldn't matter. Because it's going to matter. So if I introduce somebody to me in that way, it means that I'm prepared to take and acknowledge the kind of person I am too. Not just take and acknowledge the kind of person you are, which is great. If I can do that, that's a great start. But it doesn't matter, because by the end of it, it's going to matter what kind of passion I put into the relationship, what kind of direction I make it, and where it's going to go. Yes, the beginning matters. The beginning matters. The end is... It's not going to count for anything until you're not afraid of death. Until you're not afraid of love. And it's hard to really take that in without trying to say that, you know, oh, well, he's just trying to be, you know, someone stronger than most men, or some other stuff like that. Because some people would say that, oh, this person's crap, he's just trying to seem like he's stronger than what he is. You know, or something like that. Like, trying to establish that a person's talking about one thing, and saying that, oh, well, he's just trying to be that kind of personality. But, you know, that's not truly him. You know, and just trying to define every quality of a person based on what you've seen before or what you've seen after. You know, honestly, there is certain things that are directed in every direction, where you can find a person and say, oh, well, see, that's a normal thing guys do, or that's a normal thing girls do. See, that's why I said guys are like that. See, that's why I said girls are like that. You know, they try to, you know, wipe it off as nothing. When in reality, it's probably the most important thing to them. But they don't want to establish that. They don't want to show that weakness. Me, I show all my weakness. I show every weakness. Here's my weaknesses. What else would you like? Would you like to see my strengths? Because I've already been showing those for just as much time as I've been showing my weaknesses. I don't need to hide anything. Because I'm not miserable. You know, if you're not able to show your weaknesses, it means you're miserable with your weaknesses. It means you don't like your weaknesses. They make you depressed, you know. But they make you depressed because you'd be even more upset if somebody else knew your weaknesses and took advantage of them. Because most people do. You know, if a guy takes advantage of you, or somebody in a relationship takes advantage of it, whether it's lesbian, gay, or straight, doesn't matter. I'm talking about directed impact. That's what matters to you in a relationship. It isn't like, well, a nice guy asks you out, oh, hey, you know, you're a very beautiful girl. Can we go out sometime? Are you gay or something? There's the answer. There's the answer. And the best thing I can say is, only toward you. Sorry, I tried to tell you I like you. If you don't like that, then, you know, just wait for a guy that just wants sex with you. No worries. If he cheats on you, stay with him. Don't worry. Same thing with girls and girls or whatever. But, see, that's the thing about it. Like, this is the two-pronged idea. Like, it's okay if a girl, you know, it's, in a lot of ways, people try to establish that with this whole, I'm not saying that all gays, lesbians, you know, straight relationships, there are many open relationships in that fact. Some aren't, though. But it's not really a miracle to see that certain times it's alright in those kind of relationships to have other people on the side together. And where in fact we have this identity that, well, you know, guys are cheaters or whatever you want to say, or rapists and stuff like that. That is honest truth right there. But it doesn't dictate every single damn person on this earth. You can try to make it seem like that, and that's a lovely thing if you want to do that. If you want to establish everybody as the same, I'd wonder how you got into that kind of relationship. Whether it's a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter. The fact that you can negligently decide to say that all people are like that, why would that person mean any more to you then? What makes that person matter? Whether they're a guy or girl, or what kind of relationship you're in. If you could automatically surface the kind of wall that is there, I mean, you got a pretty strong person there to take all that beating from you, to take all that beating of what you think about people. This isn't just about men and women. This is about people. And once you establish that you don't care, your effect in life is down center. It's gone. It's nothing else left that could decide your idea of what life is, except what you want. Because that's what makes you happy at that point. It's not that you're with somebody that actually loves you. It's that you get what you want. And I think that's what really I've seen with a lot of people. That they've given up on looking for love and just looking for what they want. You know, that's why I'm single right now, because I'm tired of that. I'm tired of just finding people that just want what they want. If you want what you want, don't want it with me. That's thank the gods on that one. Hercules, Zeus, save me. I'm serious, you know. I want what I want. I want it all. But I want it all because I want it all with the other person. I want everything with that person. But it doesn't matter if that other person just wants what they want. You know? And I think that's what really I've seen, that I help people. I'm better than them. Oh, I love this. This is how people act in negativity. When people help people, a lot of times they think they're better than them. You know, I helped this person, so I'm better than them now. You know, when people, it's the same thing that you could say about somebody with more money thinks they're better than everybody else. But I actually don't think that's a heartfully true statement, though it has happened a lot. And I don't deny that wealth and the way people think about themselves based on those thoughts are real too. But I don't think I can definitely say that matters right now. Right now it's this. I help people. I'm better than them. You know, that is how people act in negativity. And everybody helps everybody. So what? Doesn't make you better. You know, we all help each other. That's actually a gift. That's not something we should crush down on them like being between a rock and a hard place. And I think that's what people do now. Is that if they help people, they're better than them. Well, they need something to have in life. So they need to have that ego and pride to carry themselves along in life. Maybe they don't have anything else. Maybe they're so weak that all they have is their ego and pride to hold them up. And that's a lot of times what people do with ego and pride, is they try to say that if I'm helping people, it means I'm better than them. Woo! You know, you're not gonna, I walk away from that. And I think I have many times. Like, oh yeah, I tried to help this person, but he doesn't think the way I do, or whatever. Okay, so what? You don't need to help me. I didn't ask for help. And if I did ask for help, it doesn't mean I have to be like you. And I think that's what a lot of people do, especially within families. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced this, that your family members at times help you, and they act like they're better than you because they helped you. Well, you're the child. You're always going to be their child. So for them to act like they're better than you, you're never going to be independent in a lot of ways because they want their way. And I think that's the main problem that I've seen within family units, is that if all you want to do is create a bad image of their dependence on you, they're never going to be independent. Why would they want to be independent? In a lot of ways, where else can they go? It's so funny that parents and everybody tries to make it seem like their parenthood is so damn established, when in a lot of ways, if you're treating your children like they're pets, they're slaves, what's the point? What's the point to have kids if all you're going to do is take a strategy that's been done before? What's the point? Why have kids? Why even consider? Because right there and then, and if it was like, something that just happened, an accident, stuff like that, oh, well, we didn't want kids, whatever. Right there and then, a lot of people try to establish that, I help my kids, so I'm better than them. Oh, Jesus Christ. Doesn't make you better than them. I've seen your kids. They're a lot nicer than you. And they're a lot more accepting than you. Oh, it's because they're weak. Oh, right there. I love that. Everyone sees it as a weakness if you accept people. Like, oh, geez, my child is weak. Not really. Maybe they wouldn't have fallen into that if you didn't just make it seem like a weakness. And I think that's the thing about that I've learned, that a lot of people in general use that against their family members, their friends, anything. Like, just to get their way, they'll make them feel horrible. But it doesn't always work. And I think that's what's happening with me, is that, I'm not looking for somebody who just says, he's just trying to rebel. He never agrees with me. I don't need that. If I needed to be rebellious, I would have been a long time ago. Why would I sit here talking to you on this thing, still living with my mom, still having, conversations and helping my grandma out, if all I was doing is try to be rebellious? I mean, think about it. There is obviously some truth to the identity that I love my family and their differences, and I respect them for their differences. But all I'm looking for in a relationship or anything is somebody who accepts the differences too, who respects them and accepts them. You know? I don't need to coexist 100% with somebody. That doesn't make sense. There's going to be conflict. But if you don't respect the differences that somebody has, just as much as the similarities that you love between yourselves and between yourself and the other person that you're with, then how could you ever? Why else would you want a different kind of relationship? I'm just curious. But at the same time, I can acknowledge that, well, maybe it's because of power, control. And that's understandable too. There are a lot of people that can do that. Don't worry. There's a lot of quiet people that you can control. No problem. I'm not one of them. That's the one thing that you learn about me, is that I'm not one of those people. You'll find it from anybody else, not me though. You know, especially if you think you're better than them because you help them. Oh shit, you're out of the picture. I don't need you in my life if you think you're going to be better than me. I don't even think I don't even think I'm better than you. But if I needed somebody to have pride or ego over me or hold something over my head, I'd tell them, just throw a rock at me. Throw a rock at me from the top. Let's go to the highest inclination point, not Mount Everest, but the one in Canada, Mount Thor, and you could throw it down right on me. I'll just stand at the bottom of the 1,411 foot drop. I'll stand at the bottom of it. The rock will be thrown on me, and there you go. But if I allowed that to happen, which I don't, and that's the thing about it, that this is what most people want. And seeing that, people in power, man, the government, everything else lasts so long. Maybe if I do the same thing, I'll get a long-term relationship too. Well, yeah, if you don't believe in love, if you believe in hate that much, totally understandable. If you believe in hate that much, which maybe you do, maybe you are one of those hateful people, then I would recommend you do that. Because your hate would not go good in a love story. Just saying. You'd be that bully or revenge person like Biff Tannen from the Back to the Future movies. You'd be like him, or Darth Vader, whatever you want to say. I mean, yeah, you would have to reestablish yourself and save yourself in that way, because that's the only way you can do it. No bully ever got help from somebody else in that way. They would always have to do it themselves at the end of the story. Whether or not someone else helped them realize it, they still had to do it. And I think that's what really gets to the point here, is that it's the same idea when people when people call me a mama's boy. I feel like they reject love in general, to look at something or a relationship that is strong and put it down. And I think that's what really I've seen with a lot of people who put down a strong relationship someone's had before they got to them. I wanted that kind of relationship. You can have it. But, that would mean I have to treat you like a mom. And I don't want that. I want to treat you like who you are. And that's the thing about a lot of people, where they try to rationalize something that they always try to go against. Say, oh, well, I don't want to be your mama. But at the same time, they do it. So, I mean, there is some kind of definitive line of what comes through it. And I think that's what really, that goes back to what I said earlier. If you're afraid of love, you're afraid of death. And if you're afraid of love that other people have for other people, whether it's their family members or a friend, that kind of love, that it's different. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the kind of love where it's a relationship love. That there could be love between people that is completely different, outside of the source, outside of the information of what most people feed us. Love is more than that. Love is inevitably going to be something that we critically have, whether we have it for a friend or we have it for a relationship. And if we have it for both, that's even better. If we have those kind of identities and people we can identify with and have a kind of connection with, it doesn't mean that it's all about cheating. It doesn't mean it's all cheaters and we have to find out. And I think that's what really I'm getting from this, being a mama's boy and being close to my mom. Or, it's it's the rejection of love in general. It is the rejection of love. Oh, you're close to your mom? Ugh. Okay. I don't say to it. I don't say to you, being so attached to the rejection from and the desperation of misery through your family or friends. The judgment and disapproval they give. I don't go I just tell you, be you. If that's the kind of establishment that you carry on, you're never going to want this. You're never going to want this. And it's sad, because I'd want this. And not because I have ego or pride to find somebody like me or something, but to have that kind of connection. If it doesn't give arousal, if it only gives like, bleh, that look of disgusting, then what's the point? Why would you want to get into a relationship at all then? Or why would you want a connection with anyone? Any human on earth? Well, most people, when I think that way, I see them with everybody around, and I think, shouldn't they be a hermit? Not in that kind of critical, I'm trying to be harsh on them. It just seems like it's hard to believe that they'd want to be around in that way. But, I give it as I take it, and I still give love. This is my love to give, not theirs. Take care and love everybody. Wish you all the best.